Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lions In podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lyons, and we're back with another recap of the Traitors, season 4, this time episode 6. We only got one episode this round, so this one should be a shorter stream, but of course, before we get started, we have to go over our house den rules. Anything that we say is strictly within the game or alleged. We don't know these people. We're only talking based on what we see from the show. All right. So grab your favorite cocktail or water if you're like me on a bit of a health kick. Let's get into it and let's talk about episode 6. So, it was a bit of a coup with this episode, and we got some people's brains starting to turn on and get real about how this game should really be going. We're going to see if they're going to do anything with it, but we pretty much come back where no one was murdered because everyone had all decided to not use the shield um when they had did their competition the other day. Because nobody went for the shield, they could not murder someone, so therefore everyone is welcome back. And yeah, the traders are upset about it because they, I'm assuming, wanted to try to kill Colton because he name dropped Lisa. But again, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I'm not understanding why the traders aren't being flexible in that Colton can go during banishment as well. So we'll see a little bit later on what happens with that. But we get to, of course, breakfast. Everyone is crazy about the smoked salmon. I guess I need to add that to my menu because apparently it's pretty popular. But Lisa is riled up. Okay. She's upset because she's found out, of course, that Colton is his name. She wants to slit his throat. She is not having it with him. And so the plan is banish Ron and then kill Colton. Okay. We have that happen. So after they get out of breakfast, we have Johnny. Welcome, Johnny. Woo! Thanks for showing up and playing the game because your fellow friends haven't been doing that so much. So let me pull up the cast list so you all can follow along and see who we're talking about. And because it's a lot of people who honestly you forget are there, but um are on the show. They're on the show. So shout out to reality TV page for giving us this sheet. So here we go. All right, Johnny, who is the figure skater for the Olympics, he has decided to clock in, to wake up and say, wait a minute, we can create a majority and we can control votes on who we want out of this game. Thank you for checking in and clocking in. Here we go. For waking up and being ready to play traders. And this is something that I had to go and I would discuss with my brother who watches the other um s- countries traders, that there are different types of trade of faithful strategies that people can do. And traders do also need to be thinking about in game as well. Like, you do want to get out people that can prevent you from getting to the end and from getting money, but also control votes if you're working with your alliance members, and you want them to go all the way. That's it. There should be a bit of strategy that goes into this, and a lot of them aren't really tapped into it and aren't really doing it, especially with America, based on the conversation I had. So finally they're waking up. Johnny says, hey, we can control the vote if we get 8 people to all vote together and figure out who we want to kick out. He is leaning now towards Colton. So even with Colton having that, moment of support, moral support, game wise, people want nothing to do with him. Well, so we think they don't want anything to do with him. So they want him out, and he wants to get together a strategy of people. He wants Candace. Eric, let's see if we can remember this. Uh Mark, Natalie, Candid, who would I say? Johnny, Mark, Eric, Natalie. I believe Mara was in it. Caroline. No, Caroline not there no more. The is Caroline still there? Caroline's not there. Tara, that's who we're missing. Tara and Steven, I believe is who are all the people he wants to vote. Oh, and Rob. I do believe Rob is a part of that eight group. So he wants to devise that to go ahead and vote out eight people to control votes and get out Colton. It's about time you guys start talking to each other. It's about time that you guys start strategizing and actually move the game in your favor. So at this point, Ron is for sure a top contender, but people are also thinking, why don't we go big and do Colton? And this is a conversation that they do have towards the episode. So as this before we get into the challenge though, because everyone is kind of determined that they want to get rid of Ron at this point. Ron has been pretty isolated. Also, a bit of self-fulfilling prophecy, if we be completely honest here. But Rob is also connected with Ron. And it seems like Ron has a pretty good connection with him, or, he felt pretty all right with him. And as they're playing chess, he starts to feel really bad. And this is where we see Rob start to change because he starts getting in his feelings. And he pretty much is like, I don't want to target Ron because I just feel like it isn't right. Like, why are we getting rid of him? I don't think he's a traitor. I think he's a faithful. We just need to keep him. So this is where Rob decides he wants to turn the plan from what the traders wanted to protecting and or figuring out a way in order to not eliminate Ron from this game. So it's like, oh, okay, let's see where this goes. So we move forward where they do a challenge and they are in a creepy cabin in the woods. Now, I thought this would be the one with a bunch of bugs. And I've always thought about doing traders. Like if I would sign up, I don't know. But like I couldn't do the bug challenge. I couldn't do none of those. Those are contenders or things that would make me unable to participate in traders. Okay. And so I just knew you were about to get the creepy bug one, but no, they were just in a room and it would get like pitch black and have like different scary moments. And then they had to guess certain riddles and run to the cemetery and pick the correct word. If they were correct, they won money in their pocket. If they were incorrect, then they didn't. And at the end of the game is when they found out how much money that they had won. I like the concept of it, but again, I feel like there should be a little bit more incentive than just a shield. Like these games need to matter a little bit more. And I feel like they be getting money real easily. It needs to be harder. It needs to be a lot harder. Um, but they all had again decided not to take the shield. And I was trying to figure out what was the strategy behind that again. So if you guys know, please share your theories. Maybe I'm missing something, but why would y'all all choose not to you get a shield again when it's not the same offer? Meaning the traders can kill you all. So why would we allow them to kill because of just getting money? But if you're murdered at night and you know you were a target, why would you not grab a shield? I'm a little confused. I was a little confused. Like Ron, which I mean, there are certain people. Eric was one of them. Maybe Jam Jam. You probably should have gotten a shield, especially with what we see coming next. It was all a dumb move for them not to go and pick a shield. And I just couldn't for the life of me understand why they were just like, yeah, let's just all stick together. We're not going to get a shield. I guess, and again, I think the only thing was they couldn't get all the money, but I think I maybe missed that part of the instructions, but it's not making sense to me. So Maybe if you want in the comments, maybe I'm missing something, let me know. But that part didn't make sense. There's a lot of things that didn't make sense to me here. But okay, so here we have, for every tombstone they identify correctly, they'll earn $3,000. But there are shields buried at one of them, and the money will be fortified if anyone takes one. Okay, they agreed to avoid shields. So I guess it's because they want to get the money that they, like, all of the money will be taken if somebody takes a shield. Okay. I think would depend on who it is, but I think it says something when a lot of the faithfuls feel so comfortable in the game that you wouldn't take the shield over the money, because it's like, okay, I don't have this money, but like I'm here to see another day, versus we have the money, but I was murdered, so I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know, but whatever. So they don't do that. They go through the challenge. It was really funny to see people jump scare. I'm gonna be real. I would cut up myself, so I can't even really, like, talk a bunch of trash for real, because I would cut up. Like, I kind of would cut up a little bit, and I don't even think I would be able. I don't know if I'd be able to even solve those riddles. It's like, and then it's too close, like Ouija board and stuff. I would have to go. They have to excuse me, but I would really try. I really would. In the end, the group did bank $15,000. When they returned to the castle, Johnny started to rally his group of eight to banish them. And then he was just like, hey, why don't we go big? Why don't we do Colton? Because yeah, you don't have to play it safe, you know. And so he wants to gather what people try to say. But of course, here we have Rob, who just had a change of heart, realized that, like, dang, I don't want Ron to go, but that's who we're voting for. But at the same time, Colton, not Colton, because you know the bros, the WH's got to stick together. He gets it. And I can't let go my bro. My bro can't go home. No. Even though it's like, Rob, let's think about our game here, not our feelings. Which, if we've seen anything about Rob from Love Island, we know that he is a flip flopper, and he will sabotage anyone because he gets in his feelings, and will change with the course of the wind. Like, we've seen this in Rob. So I was like, and there it is. There it is. His flip flop tendencies are coming out. So he's trying to figure out a way how can he protect both, and he doesn't really know what strategy to go with. But the rest of the group is trying to discuss getting Colton as the next strategic move. I really feel like when it comes to them, it's like Colton. I feel like they know Colton maybe is probably not a traitor. I would think he's not a traitor. But again, there is a separate strategy that faithfuls do have to play if they want to get to the end. And is he a person that you want in the end, where he's going to constantly throw you all under the bus, being accused? I see he has influence. What happens if that energy turns on me? If I don't have alliances and I don't have connections, and this cast feels so divided, I don't really think that they do. So he can do a lot of damage and hurt a lot of people based on how he's moving in this game. Why would I keep you in this game? I might as well banish you so that I could get closer to the end, and we can then wiggle. We can get to who the traitors are, because he is a distraction. And so I mean, I was here for it, but also personally I'm here for it because I'm ready for Colton to go. Like, Colton, oh my God, he can go. Well, we find out that Colton has suspected Lisa, and we knew when he suspected her. He's now watching her every move, analyzing everything that she does, and Lisa is trying to hold herself together. Lord Jesus, hold herself together, because she has to act like she doesn't know that Colton wants to come after her, but Colton, who he can't help himself, like, watching this entire episode, I was like, oh, this man really can't help himself. His ego is massive. because he could not wait to dangle and in her face that he had figured it out, that she is a traitor. And he, even when he was like, maybe I'll just keep an eye on her, I just won't say anything yet. He couldn't even do that. So we do get this very, I think, strange scene. It was strange in that, like, I felt like production had cut it, and I don't know if something else more was said with Lisa and Colton, and that's why. But Colton was being very like passive aggressive towards her and being like, "Oh, Lisa, yeah, you would know," like throwing jabs to pretty much hint that, like, I know you're a traitor, but like wouldn't say it. So he was being very passive aggressive, and Lisa looked at him, but we like ended the scene and then we moved on. And I was like, what's going on here? Did y'all get into it? Was it back and forth? Did she walk away? Like, I need to know. They just kind of abruptly ended that season, like that scene. And I felt like some type of way. So Colton is almost kind of like you know that TikTok, I gotta keep it together. I gotta cover myself. Like, oh my goodness. You know that what is the meme? Oh my God. Um, was it SpongeBob? Is it Plankton? It's not Plankton. But y'all probably know the TikTok I'm talking about. I gotta keep myself together. And that was Colton the entire episode. Like, he could not. And I was just like, bro, what in the world? So he finally goes to Lisa and he goes, I want to try to make a deal with you. I'll keep you safe at the round table if you keep me safe in the turn. Now, contractually, you are not supposed to tell if if you are a traitor or not. Like, you're not supposed to just outwardly tell a faithful person. And they all should know that. So why on God's green earth would he go and say something like that to her? The arrogance of it all. So of course Lisa looking at him like, huh? What? And this is where I feel like, Lisa, girl, you needed to. Why aren't you more prepared when you are a trader and somebody might question you? I need them to be more prepared, bro. Because I could tell she was lying. I know he could, and he was just having fun with it. Oh my God. This was his day. But she, of course, looked at him and denied it and walked away and was like, bro, what? So he was just wanting to agitate her this entire night because he couldn't help it. But what I found very interesting about it, and I mentioned this on my TikTok, was even the simple fact that he was willing to pause and try to make a deal, but was not willing to do that with Tiffany, had even less evidence, right, that she was a traitor, and chose to just railroad her at the round table, but you chose to give grace to Lisa. That doesn't sit right with me. And it's a startling difference. Because yes, he still in the end did throw her name out there, which we'll get to, but he was planning on not doing that. He was trying to make a deal. He was trying to, okay, well, I'll just watch and I'll just wait. But you didn't do that for Tiffany. Hmm. Yeah, no, we're gonna clock that. We're gonna clock that. Because why'd you not do that? So I have to look at that and say that there's a difference and a reason why you was treating this black woman differently than you was with Lisa. Let's just call it for what it is. It's different. Also, you know, I don't understand. It's never a good strategy to bully or hold hostage another traitor and think that that is a sufficient strategy to get you to the end. When would that work? That would never work. Like, it's not a long lasting strategy. She can't tell you, but also she still could murder you. And if she's a good enough player, wiggle her way out of it. Like, you're pushing people to risk it because you're being a nuisance. And I really think, like I said last week, his strategy is to be so big that he becomes untouchable. But he's not considering that banishment is also a way that he could be murdered. And he's taking that for granted because of his ego. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that conversation. And it was just very like, oh man, he gotta go. I'm sick of him. Oh man, he gotta go. He has to go. I'm so sick of Colton. That yeah, I'm so sick. But going on to the roundtable, we of course know that they are going to, excuse me, grill Ron first. And I will say, Ron did a phenomenal job here at this roundtable. I really don't have any notes. I think it just came down to the fact that his name had already been in their mouths. And once you kind of get tarnished, your reputation is tarnished. It's really hard to recover and come back from that. And that's just what we saw with Ron. They wasn't letting up or allowing him to get off of that stain, even though it's pretty clear he was not a traitor. So they start off by just going back to the Portia vote and him being so sure and him being, I think for, I can understand the theory of Donna because he was very close with Donna. But him and Donna and Michael all was working together and Michael wasn't a traitor. But so I can understand you being like, well, you were close to Donna and she was a traitor. I get that. But the Porsche vote itself, which he does bring up, was he had actual facts, which he had the most facts out of Colton has ever brought to the table, and he was just wrong. That's it. So it feels like it's personal because everybody likes Portia, and that's what he names. He says, um, he, that he's being held responsible for Portia's banish, even though Colton has led the charge more against more faithfuls who were banished. And so they ask who, or Colton asked who, with Portia and Tiffany, which Ron replies, and then Michael Rappaport, and he was like, I mean, you guys didn't like him on a personal level, but you also were very wrong. He was not a traitor. So you are voting out more faithfuls than I am, which was a very good point. Like, hello, if you're going to be mad at Ron for doing this or feeling like he is not a good, for these reasons, you got to also look at Colton because he's just as he's done the same thing, if not worse. And so he says, yeah, what? Because we don't like Michael, he don't count. Clock their T, Ron, clock their T, clock their T. Incredible because we love Portia. We're still on me, so it's so true. Had Portia not been so well liked, people would probably have moved on from him. But she was well liked and they are holding that against him. So yeah, I mean he gave points and then it just kind of got to the point where he was like, you know what, if you're gonna vote for me, whatever, if this is what you need to do in order to prove or clear that I am not a traitor, do what you need to do. And then he went around thanking everyone, except for Dorinda. Him and Dorinda, I don't know what happened backstage, and I need to know, but they are not a fan of each other. And I feel like allegedly I was told she, or I saw somewhere that she and him got into it or something. I don't know, but he really don't like her. I'm like, what happened between those two? He don't really like her at all. Like he's not feeling her at all. And he like you was more open to Rob, but with her, it's something that she must be doing or moving that he may not like behind the scenes. Because but here's the thing about Ron, that yes, he definitely was held to the fire a lot more. Um that I don't think were reasons that made him a traitor. And I think logically, right? But I think when it comes down to we just need to get rid of people, he just got caught in that line of crossfire. But I also will say that like he social game matters and he did self isolate himself. And when you do that and you don't make people feel good about you, excuse me, they will get rid of you. They're gonna get rid of you. They're gonna do it. They're going to think because you're showing them that you're not valuable to their game. So social games matter. You can't say that people didn't want to talk to you, but then you isolated yourself, especially if you know that you messed up. You gotta go and reassert yourself back with these people with people socially and make them feel confident in you again. Like and he just really didn't do the best job with that, but I do think he was judged a bit unfairly, for sure. It was. And I'm glad that he called out the hypocrisy around that round table, as he should have. As he should. He should have called it out. So he does that farewell speech, but the energy does go and switch to Colton. And because of that, because with the point that he made, there were people that were like, well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't sit right with me that you were so sure about Tiffany and then Michael and then um other people you voted out and were pushing, and they then all start to pile on Colton and accuse him of controlling the game, throwing out too many names, being a bad faithful. So Lisa's just like, oh, okay, this is beautiful. She chose to be quiet. And because he's now getting the heat, and I do think Colton was completely he was completely off guard. Like it was completely off guard for him, which again, because he's arrogant and he was not thinking about the fact that if you're in this game, you can't just think about being murdered. You have to think about banishment as well, because if you're a bad faithful, they can get rid of you. And this was a moment where he really just neglected that part of the game, and he was physically shaking. But of course, because the now the heat was on him, he didn't mind going there. And this is where he then shifts the attention on to Lisa and says that, that first vote with voting out a housewife never sat right with me, because why would you go against your own housewife? That's an unwritten rule. And then he was like, your personality and how I've seen you, you're totally different. And this is not the Lisa that I know. And so from that point, I think you're a traitor, because you are acting totally different from her, from who we know you to be on television. And, you know, uh, Lisa's doing, in my opinion, a pretty bad job. I think she's doing a pretty bad job. That because she's like, well, what do you mean, like, why are you, who I am on TV and who I am here, like, why are you expecting me to act that way? Like, I would be act differently, and you're saying that that makes me only a traitor. That's not fair, but I think you're a traitor because you're always throwing out names, is kind of what she says back to him. She doesn't really, it's an okay job, but her face is very telling, even, well, her lips are very telling. But she doesn't do that great of a job, because it is convincing to a lot of people, which goes back to my point of why the influence that Colton has is insane. Like, because I mean, if we be completely honest, right? Because he's not actually wrong, which is what I said about this archetype. They will eventually get right, but they're gonna be wrong. So, but once he's right, the faithfuls are going to probably be back in the palm of his hands, because now they're going to trust him again to do it again, and that would be two traitors that which I don't really give him, Donna, that, because it wasn't him that really initiated that. He was actually hesitant to go along with the Donna vote, but whatever, they're giving him credit for that. um he but The fact that he sat there and still convinced people, like he had still convinced them, right? Even though he really didn't bring any other than like, yeah, why would you vote against Portia? But why would you? Which it was a bad move. She shouldn't have maybe did that. Which that could catch up with her. And I think we've talked about that before. Like that definitely wasn't maybe the best strategic move because people do look at that. But even if you were gonna be like, well, I broke the rule. You have to have a reasoning why. You have to set it up in a way that makes logical sense and really had made people believe it. And I think she just kind of, oh well, I just really trusted Ron and tried to make it seem like he was the one responsible. He was so convincing. But I think it becomes a mute point when you find out Ron was just simply wrong and he was a faithful, that it does make people look at Lisa side eye because it's like, or maybe you hid under Ron. So thinking that through, it maybe wasn't the best strategy, but also she just wasn't really convincing because she could have probably been more convincing and probably gotten away with it maybe a little bit more. Has she just been like, it's an unwritten rule and I was following wrong. Maybe if it was believable, but that was not a good move. So that did, but it did enough to convince people. But the fact that Colton was able to switch people, especially the said people who were supposed to all vote him out of the game, he got to go. He has to go. He has to go. He has to. That is a dangerous player when you have people who will just, no matter what, follow you with loyalty. Because Eric, godly Eric, cannot help himself following his lead, and others followed his lead. Taking out the fact that Lisa is actually a traitor and he is correct. But I mean, come on. But I will say he convincingly did, outside of him convincing people, Ron also convinced some people not to vote for him. Because even with him talking and saying his goodbyes, Natalie and Tara were like, I'm sorry, I don't think you're a traitor. I really don't. Like, but they were willing to go to the Colton until Colton threw Lisa under the bus, thus made them vote for Lisa. But again, like, what happened to the eight? Like, what happened to the G8? Like, God, Lee, man, it didn't even last an hour. It seemed like, my God. So it was a fail, but I still think Johnny maybe should try again, but maybe with something a little bit more smaller or more strategic. Like maybe we pick one person, certain people who are connected to other people, and have them be the people to convince those people to vote the same, not just from him, but and then have a four core or now three core at this point, something, because you do need a strategy as faithfuls moving forward to actually try to win this game. So I will still give him his kudos because he really did try. It was unsuccessful, but please keep trying, please. Because I mean, at this point, the traders are going to win, which I wouldn't be mad at because Candace. So, like we talked about, though, moving on, Rob has been back and forth battling what he's going to do because he does not want Ron to go. But now, Colton, his boy, is now being potentially up for banishment. So, he is now caught between a Hark and a rock, and a rock place. And I don't even know if I said that right, but a rock in a hard place. Yes. And so he's having this internal battle on what he is going to do, who he is going to vote for, because he knows the votes are going her way. Sorry, long day at work. And mind you, Rob has been going around the castle talking about, I don't think it's Rob. He said it actually around the round table. I really don't think it's Ron. So Candace is looking at him like, what are you doing? Because that was not the initial plan that they had. And so also like why did you need to speak out and say you don't want it to be Rob? So it was throwing her off, it was throwing Lisa off because their plan was to go ahead and do Ron. Now, this is where for me I was a little bit confused and I can see both sides of it, but from my perspective, right? Given taking into consideration who the players are on the board. I don't quite understand. Okay, I do understand why you may want someone like Colton, I mean, like Ron, to go home because you think he's a traitor. And from Candace's perspective, she has consistently voted to vote out Ron. Okay. However, given the play type of player that Colton is, there is an argument to be made that you are being handed on a platter the opportunity to get rid of Colton. Why not take it? Because this is not a player. And this is for both Candace and Rob. Because I understand, Rob, that's your boy. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the end game, do you want to be with somebody with a player like him? If you see the pattern that he is a dog with a bone, he will not let loose. He's aggressive, he's bold, he's arrogant, and he's moving around here, getting in arguments with Lisa, straight up telling her, y'all, if I'm murdered, it was Lisa. Playing such an aggressive game. No, you don't think that he could also do that to you and blow up your spot? Because he is. He's doing it for Lisa. And I again feel like the moment that you get rid of one traitor, all of the other traders are at risk because now if I'm a faithful, how I'm looking at this game, my perspective has to change. Because okay, a person like Lisa is a trader, which means I'm probably looking at people who are too loud, and I need to start looking at these quiet people or these other folks or people that I don't necessarily suspect because it ended up being someone like Lisa. I think it can be more dangerous and scary and trickier for the traders. So I just think that with somebody like, so I do think they should take it seriously when someone is threatening to get rid of one of the traders. Because I do think for this group, like the way that this cast structure is this season, I think it can really hurt the other two traders once you find out who is a traitor. Colton also, again, he's very messy. He is very loud, and he is going to turn on Candace and Rob. It doesn't matter if or it's going to be when he's going to do that. And it's like now we're starting to get a little bit more lower in numbers. Why don't we need to be thinking about end game here, thinking about who we want in this game. And Colton overall is a problem, should be a problem for all of them, not just Lisa, all of them. So for me, I'm like, if you're handing it to me, why would I not go there? If the votes are there, why not? Get rid of him. The banishment is perfect. Because do I give an opportunity for a player like this another week to regain social status in the house to where they don't want to touch him anymore and they start believing everything that he says? Do I want to get to that point again? Because it's possible because we're sitting here and he's convincing people to go ahead and vote out Lisa. And they're listening. A group of eight did not want to commit to voting him out. So it's possible. It's very, and I just felt like it was very dangerous. And this may have been a moment that y'all should have gotten him out. You know, I really think so because I mean the way that he's moving. So we'll see. I'm hoping that they do um are able to stick it out and banish him. Just do it for the sake of your faithful game. But I don't know because again, he was able to convince y'all to put Lisa's name because when we get to the vote, it was very close between Lisa and Ron. Colton's name was dropped. I don't think most people had Johnny's back. I think maybe one or two, maybe three people had his back, maybe. But that eight was like looking like a strong four. But people put Lisa name down. Yeah. So his convincing and his social game worked. That archetype, I'm telling you. But with the votes, Ron is voted out. He of course reveals that he is a faithful, which yeah. So people are like, oh man, okay. But at this point, Lisa's got some heat on her. Lisa really has some heat on her. People are not in the mood. And yeah, we this is gonna be very interesting to see where this goes because Lisa's getting now fired up. And now Colton is teasing her. Yeah, this is the Lisa I want to see. Yeah, this she's finally here. I'm glad she could make it. I mean, he is poking the bear and it's getting a little bit brutal. I again wish Lisa would have done a Phaedra Parks, like really just conducted herself in a way that just shut him up because he's so annoying. He's so annoying. But before they end the episode, Alan does reveal he's like, I'm gonna lift the moods by us having a dinner. Come dressed in your nice gowns, and we're gonna have something in the bank as a banquet and everything is going to be fun and have a good time. So people are like, oh, okay, great, thanks. Because then we also have Rob, who just broke his alliance with the Traitors. They're all like, he knows he's gonna have to answer for his what he decided to do and him flipping. And then, oh yeah, he decides to put down Lisa's name as the way to try to help his predicament. He switches his vote to Lisa. So Lisa looks at him like, are you kidding me? So he knows he's about to get it. So we do have a little bit of moment of that. They don't get to go in the current turrets, sorry, in the turret before the party. So, they sneakingly are like, Rob, why did you do that? Like, and he was like, the votes weren't there. I really didn't want Rob to go, which is kind of like Ron, which is like, did Rob have to do this? No. Was it beneficial for his game? No. Like, you could have just voted out Ron. Like you didn't have to make this complicated, which was his problem again on Love Island. You could have just went with Ron. You're a traitor. But okay. So Lisa, she goes off on Colton in front of everyone, puts him on blast for expecting her to act a certain way because she's a housewife. Um, She goes, I'm Lisa effing Renna. I'm Lisa effing Renna before Housewives. I'm Lisa effing Reynolds after Housewives. After. And so then he, of course, teases her. Oh, finally, she's finally here. So now she's really pissed. Yeah, I think Rob's answer was just like, I'm sorry. The votes weren't there, or he had a very sorry excuse. I don't really remember it. So now, of course, Candace and Lisa don't trust him, which yeah, again, I don't know if long term this was the best strategy for Rob to do this, like I said. But as the episode ends, they do meet one time. Oh, I'm sorry, they do actually meet in the current for a short period of time. And or no, they didn't. The day before. So they didn't meet today. The day before. Alan already feels them in that after that last person is banished, we're going to have a dinner and we're going to do another murder in sight, which I'm a fan of. And that's where most of their Emmy moments have come from. And they have to pretty much wear this amulet or piece of jewelry. And if the person who they want to murder, they have to touch it. If someone touches it, they are murdered. And they'll have to decide who they want to wear it and do a murder in sight. So Lisa, who has been activated already, says she was going to wear it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what is going to happen tomorrow because she put it on her little collar dress. It looks like she would something she would wear. And from the looks of the commercial and from what Alan said himself, this is the best episode. But we still have a ways to go. And your biggest personalities are out the door and heading out the door. So we'll see if the energy momentum. I thought that it would kind of die down a little bit with Michael gone, but it was still very much there with Colton and Lisa. So I keep getting surprised every week. I'm super excited. I want to see how this dinner is gonna act, how it's gonna be, what how she's gonna do it, who is she gonna choose. Now, who I would like to know who you guys think should be murdered. I personally feel like she could do Eric. Like there's no you could do Eric, you could do Tara, you could do Mark. I mean, there's so many people you could do that would just be random. I think she wants to do Colton. But I think that at this point, it's too on the nose. At this point, you have to bet on a banishment to get rid of him because it will follow you directly to you. Because he has literally let the whole world know that he thinks you're a traitor. And she's barely able to get over, like, bypass the accusations. She's not going to be able to handle it if she murders him and has to come up with a cover story or be like, someone's accusing me. No one is going to believe her. It's not believable. She's not going to be able to do it. So she's going to have to kill someone else. It's just what it is. She's going to have to. I think Eric would be the perfect person because, yeah, I'm tired of him following the ties. I need you to have your own opinion, please. Oh, now, granted, they were right. They were actually voting on a correct trader. I understand that. But I just don't like the principle of following Colton. Okay. So that was pretty much the episode because we only got one. And we got through this recap a lot sooner than we thought. Um, yeah. So with my draft pick, I believe are we I think we're 1 and 4. No, we're 2 and 4. Natalie and Candace are still in the building. I'm waiting for Natalie to get activated. Like, wake up, girl. I don't know. Cause she's just kind of following the herd. And I'm a little like, okay, I need y'all. I need the traders to clock in. Like, I mean, not the traders, the faithfuls a little bit. They're just very lackadaisical this season. They're not really working together. They're not voting strategically. And I need them to clock, like, come on now, let's get to playing the game. Now, how do I feel about Candace's game? To me, she is doing a good job. I think the thing that she is doing that I think a lot of traders fail to understand when it comes to being a trader. Yes, you do a lot of lying, and that can be very hard and taxing, but a lot of them forget that, like, your social game is probably the most important thing for you. And I think Candace is doing a phenomenal job of being herself because being yourself carries a lot of weight. Like, kind of when people say if you lie, you got to believe your own lie. That's the same. Like, that's kind of what it is. Like, she's believing that she is a faithful. She's moving and operating like she is a faithful, which is what Sari did. Made people feel so good to the point where, like, her final two was just screaming and hollering at the reunion because she had convinced them so well. And it's like, this is Sari feels. You don't clearly you don't know her. Like, you played yourself. It's Sari, please. So, but having those situations, like, um, I think one of the biggest factor or things that make a good trader is someone who has the ability to be themselves and believe that they are a faithful and move in a way of being a faithful. And I think Candace is doing it well because I don't think anyone is suspecting her at all. They love Candace from what it seems like and what people are saying. They love her. So to me, and I thought Lisa might have been in the best position a couple weeks ago, but now my girl is looking great. She's playing well. yes, even though she didn't vote out Colton, she's gonna be fine either way. She would be fine either way. I think she would just have to wiggle a little bit more. She's going to have to wiggle, I think, a little bit more with Colton still in the game. But with she, as far as voting for Ron, it was a consistent vote. She's always been consistent about him, so people would not be weird or like question. Now, I do think what the excuse that she could have used, she could have said, use the Tiffany vote, and because she had a problem with the Tiffany vote, and could have used that as justification to get out Colton. But she can use that literally this week when hopefully his name is brought back up at management. But I think she's doing a phenomenal job. People trust her. Even had gamers, like, what? My girl's doing it. So I'm rooting for her. I don't think there's really been a season I'm not rooting for the Traitors, if I'm being honest. But I would like the faithfuls to clock in a little bit more. Like I said, get some strategy behind you, be more observant. Also, maybe be selfish a little bit. It's okay to protect yourself so that you can have a round table. But we will see. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. And who do you guys think should be murdered next? Who should Lisa effing Rena, Lisa Effa effing Rena kill next? We will see on tomorrow. But that is all, guys. Thank you guys for watching me. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And leave and share your thoughts. You can also find me all over on TikTok, even though it's glitchy, at Lauren.Ashley with an I, also on Instagram, Lauren.Ashley. And you can also find us at the Lions Den Podcast. We are all both on YouTube and on TikTok. So feel free to join us. We'll be back next week to talk about the next episode and find out who got murdered. But until then, you all have a good night. Bye.